Hi, today we're going to discuss, can you add your own personal requests and tefillos in the Shemona Esrei, in the Amidah? We know the Shemona Esrei consists of 19 brachos, a fixed text, which was instituted by the sages. In fact, it was instituted by the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, which the Gemara says consisted of also prophets in the time of Mordechai and Esther, the Purim story. They instituted a fixed text which we say, can we add in Shemona Esrei our own personal prayers? So we have to realize there's a balance. On one side, we don't want to change from the text which the sages instituted. When they instituted their words, they chose their words extremely carefully with great Kabbalistic significance. And therefore we're not allowed to change from their actual text. However, the Sefer Hasidim brings down that a person who prays in his own language, his own personal requests, that arouses kavanah, concentration, and helps a person concentrate in his prayers. So there's an advantage too in having one's own personal tefillos. Can one add one's own personal tefillos into Shemona Esrei or not? So this is brought down in Shulchan Aruch in chapter 112, Kuf Yud Beis, which is that based upon the Gemara and Brachos. The Gemara and Brachos makes a distinction between the 19 brachos. The first 3 and the last 3, one cannot add anything in. However, the middle 13, one can add in, following the rules which we'll mention right now. The reason why we can't mention in the first 3 or the last 3 is the Gemara gives a parable, a mashal. It's like when someone goes into a king. First he says the king's praise. He doesn't immediately jump into his personal request. Then he says his personal request, and then the last 3 is as he is thanking the king for his request, that the king listened to his requests. Similarly, the first 3 brachos are God's praise. The final 3, even though they are praise for the whole Klal Yisrael, for the whole nation, the Jewish nation, that's also praise of God. The middle 13, one can mention one's own personal prayers in each bracha, in each personal blessing, what's relevant to that blessing. So for example, in the blessing where we pray for intelligence, you could pray for success in your tests. In Rifa'enu, where one prays for the general health and of the Jewish nation, if you know a personal sick person, you can add in your personal prayer. In Baruch Aleinu, where we daven for sustenance, if a person needs to earn money, he's not succeeding, he can mention his own personal prayer too. There's one bracha which is called Shema Koleinu, where over there you're allowed to mention any request you want. Since Shema Koleinu is asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to listen to our prayers, and therefore you could add in any prayer you want. In fact, Mishnah Berurah brings a custom in Siman Kuf Chav Beis 122 that one says Vidui, if one did a specific Avera, one says one does tshuva in Shema Koleinu, and one davens for Parnasa too, a person who needs livelihood, or even if he doesn't need livelihood, even if he's rich, he davens for extra livelihood in Shema Koleinu too. This actually was a debate. The Taz brings down that one shouldn't add on a daily basis one's own personal tefillos, because then one has, by de facto, one has changed the original text and adapted the text which Chazal had instituted. And therefore one shouldn't do it on a daily basis, but Mishnah Berurah says you can do it on a daily basis too. Now just to bear in mind, when you add in, you first say the text, the entire text of the bracha, and just before the end, before you say Baruch Atah Hashem Chonin Adas, there you add in your tefillah. And the reason for this is that the text which the sages left us, the Shemona Esrei, that should be the priority, the main, the ikar. And your own tefillah should be the tofel. But in such a circumstance, you can add your own private tefillah in Shemona Esrei. And then finally, one has to be careful. Rav Shlomo Zalman points out, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, of blessed memory, said that if one will daily mention one's own personal tefillos, one becomes immune to the feeling and the personal concentration. And therefore he said, either make sure you change your text, that you shouldn't come on autopilot, and you should have proper concentration. Alternatively, make sure, maybe miss out one day, When you're praying for a specific person, do you have to mention his name? So it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch, if the person is before you, you don't have to mention his name. If the person is not before you, you mention his name and his mother's name. So to summarize again, you can add your own personal tefillos and Shemona Esrei, not in the first 3 and the last 3 brachas, but in the middle 13 brachas. Each bracha you can insert that subject's personal tefillah. In Shema Kaleinu you can add any personal prayer which you wish.